Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2012 Webb County Election Political Forums, underwritten by the City of Laredo Public Access Center. I'm Richard Noriega, and I will be the moderator for today's political forum for 341st Judicial District Judge. Ms. Maggie Lozano is our official timekeeper. This forum is an opportunity to allow you, the voter, to get to know the candidates running for office in a fair and objective manner. The candidates joining us today that are vying for the position of 341st District Court Judge are Becky Palomo.
Hello.
Thanks for being with us. Fernando Sanchez.
Hello.
And Mr. R.E. Lopez Jr. Thank you, sir. I want to thank all of you for being with us here today. I'd like to now introduce the panelists for this forum, beginning with Cristina Garcia Sierra with Fox 39.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Javier Amieva, publisher for the El Financiero newspaper. Muchas gracias. I want to thank you all for your participation here today. I'll now quickly review the rules so that you, the folks at home, can understand our format. Our candidates will be asked questions by the panelists, who are objective representatives of the local media. The two panelists will take turns asking questions. Now, each panelist will get a chance to ask 2 questions for a total of 4 rounds of questions. Please note that all questions will be asked to all the candidates. This way, the candidates can be in an even playing field. They will each have 2 minutes to answer to the questions in either English or Spanish as they choose. They each have a 2-minute opening statement and a 2-minute closing statement. At a pre-forum meeting held prior to today's forum, each candidate drew for their seating position and order of presentation. So that's already been taken care of. With that said, let's go ahead and begin the forum. We will open it up to our first candidate and her opening statement, which goes to Becky Palomo.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard Noriega. Thank you to the City of Laredo and Public Access Channel, and to the panelists. Thank you for being here. My name is Becky Palomo. I am a Laredoan, born and raised here by 2 loving and supportive parents. I am the second of 4 daughters, and our parents instilled in us the value of hard work and an education, and taught us how to put God first in our lives. I am a product of LISD schools. I am the first in my family to attend college. I attended the University of Texas at Austin, and I earned my bachelor's in business administration. I went on and attended law school at St. Mary's Law School and became an attorney over 12 years ago. I began my legal career practicing at the district attorney's office as an assistant district attorney, where I was able to represent victims of crimes. In both misdemeanor and felony cases, I put offenders away behind bars that were violent towards that compromised the safety of our community. In 2007, the Board of Judges hired me as the Executive Director of the Community Supervision and Corrections Department. They confided in my leadership skills and my legal experience to lead this department, to restructure and reorganize this department, which is what I have done. I'm very proud of the work that I've done. I'm very proud to have been serving you as a public servant for 12 years. I am married to my high school sweetheart, Daniel Palomo, and we have been blessed with 5 beautiful boys, and I'm here to ask you for your vote. Yo soy Becky Palomo. Muchas gracias por su tiempo. Estoy aquí para pedirles su confianza, su apoyo y su voto. Muchas gracias. Que Dios los bendiga.
Thank you, Ms. Palomo. And now, Mr. Lopez, your opening statement, please, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Noriega.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Ms. Garcia, Mr.
Good morning.
Aniera.
Amieva.
Mucho gusto. And I am Rufino Lopez. I am your candidate for District Judge of the 341st Court. I'm Mr. Lopez. I'm the number 1 on the ballot as you go to the polls this coming week. So why do I, Rufino Lopez, Mr. Lopez, want to be your judge? I have been practicing law for 46 years. I'm a trial lawyer, and that's what the district court is. It is a trial court. So you need a person that's been a trial lawyer to be able to understand and be your judge. I have an unprecedented, unheard of before, of 46 years in the practice of law in this county. Never before has it been seen or heard that an attorney has practiced law as many years as I have and then seek an office of public employment as your district judge. So why do I ask you to vote for me then? Because experience counts, and I have it. I not only practice the law in the courtrooms, I teach it. I have been a professor of law. I also write a book entitled Lectures on Litigation. So I look to you, the citizens of Webb County, as my employer. I look and ask that you consider me y les pido su voto y su asistencia en esta campaña para juez del distrito empezando la semana que entra. Gracias.
And thank you, Mr. Lopez. We'll now listen to Mr. Sanchez's opening statement.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fernando Sanchez, and I'm your candidate for 341st District Court. This is a job application, and we're all applying for the same job. So the question before you is, who should we choose and why? Well, the answer is, who should you choose is the person with the most experience, the most diverse experience in the very types of cases that this court handles. Now, the 341st is a district court. It's the highest trial court that there is in Webb County, together with the other district courts. It's a very trial-intensive court. It handles family cases, handles criminal cases, and handles civil cases. To this very day, I am the only candidate that has a very active law practice. It is very important that your next judge pick up and take off where Judge Salinas is leaving off. You do not need somebody that has training wheels for this job. Over my career, which spans over 21 years, I've tried over 70 trials, both as an assistant district attorney when I was there for about 5.5 years, and as well as in private practice. There is no room for training in this position. This court handles the most serious of felony cases and the most serious of civil cases, multi-million-dollar cases. My area of practice revolves around the very types of cases this court handles. Experience does matter, and that's the reason that your next judge needs to have the experience to pick up and take off where Judge Salinas has left off. Thank you.
And thank you, sir, for that opening statement. At this time, we're going to start with the first round of questioning. The first question will come from Cristina Garcia Sierra, and it's to Becky Palomo.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Good How are you? Great meeting you. So my first question to you is, which outstanding qualifications do you believe you possess that will set you apart from your opponents?
Okay, well, thank you for that question. That's a very good question. I have been practicing for 12 years as an attorney. I have been serving you, my community, as a public servant during my entire legal experience. That's something that my opponents cannot say. As I stated during my opening, I began serving you as an assistant district attorney, where I represented victims of crime. And later, the judges hired me as the executive director of the Community Supervision and Corrections Department. There, I have the responsibility, with a staff of 61 employees and managing a multi-million-dollar budget. We have the responsibility of rehabilitating over 2,800 offenders on probation. And it is a big responsibility. The judges confided in my leadership skills and my legal experience to be able to do that. When I first inherited this department, our department was in the red. We were carrying a deficit of $200,000. I used my administrative skills to reduce that deficit and to improve the morale at the department. And the department is a brand new department. It's a new department since I took over. And that goes to show I had never run a department before. And experience does matter, but it's not dispositive of whether or not you're going to do a good job. My parents taught me to work hard. They taught me to be committed, to be dedicated, and to always give it my best. And that's what I've done. I did it as an assistant district attorney, so much so that I garnered the respect of the Board of Judges when they hired me to run the probation department. I've done it at the probation department, and I want to continue to serve you as a public servant on the bench. I know I will do a good job. I know I'm fair. I'm impartial. I can be independent, and I will do a good job. Thank you.
And thank you, Mrs. Palomo. Same question to Mr. Lopez.
Ms. Garcia, would you be kind enough to repeat that question?
Of course I will. My pleasure. Which outstanding qualifications do you believe you possess that set you apart from your opponents?
Well, as I said, for one thing, the years. 46 years is a very long time and a good time to practice law. I started in 1965 and have been an active practitioner, never ever before been a public employee, never held a public office. I have eaten what I killed. I've practiced my law. I have fed my family. I have educated all 4 of my children. And we have a very comfortable life, and that's because I'm at work at 7 in the morning and I'm still there at 7 at night. What sets me apart from them? What I said earlier. I teach the law. I practice the law. And I write the law. This is a trial court. You have to be a trial lawyer. And to be a trial lawyer, you've got to know the rules. You've got to know the law. It is not an administrative position, as counsel has said, that she's qualified for. And if we really look at what she said she had the legal experience. To be the head of the probation department does not require legal experience. Simply requires being able to push the pencil. Well, so when she says she's got those years at the probation department, all those experience, frankly, she's got 1 year experience and 5 years repetition. So what we have is your choice to select the one that's best qualified, and that's what stands me out. I'm a teacher, I'm a lawyer, and I'm an author. So what more can we offer the great citizens of Webb County? I urge you to get the best because you deserve the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Sanchez, would you like to have the question repeated, or?
No, I remember. Okay. Mr. Lopez is correct. You need the most experienced and qualified person. This is not an administrative position. There are some administrative duties, but by and large, the next judge of the 341st needs to be well-versed in the areas of trial skills and court practices. To this very day, I keep an active law practice. I handle civil cases, I handle criminal cases, and I handle family cases. That is the area of practice, and those are the very same cases that this court handles on a day-to-day basis. Now, I've been actively practicing law for over 21 years, and this is something that is required to serve this position. Ms. Palomo has been the head of the probation office for the last 5 years, and because of that, has not been able to actually prohibit it from practicing law. The last time she tried a case was in 2007, which is over 5 years ago. You know, the law changes every day, every time the legislature meets, every time Congress meets, every time a court of appeals or a Supreme Court interprets a statute, the law changes. And I have to keep up with those changes because this is what I do for a living. This is what I do. I practice law. We cannot afford somebody to play catch-up for the last 5 years. We really can't. So that is my position as far as why I am the best qualified. Thank you.
And thank you, sir. Now we'll have the second question from Javier Amieva to Mr. R.E. Lopez Jr.
Ok, voy a leer mi pregunta en inglés y en español para que sea más clara, por favor. Okay. As the Texas Constitution prescribes, the district court must have supervisory control over the county commissioner's court. What exactly does this supervisory empowerment consist of? Como la Constitución de Texas ordena, un juez de distrito tiene poderes de supervisión sobre la Corte de los Comisionados. Exactamente, ¿en qué consiste dicho poder de supervisión? ¿Nos podría comentar, por favor?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Adieva. One of the supervisory roles of the district judge is to, along with the other district judges, appoint the county auditor. That county auditor is an independent county auditor, not affiliated with any commissioner or any group, much like me, where I want to be an independent judge, and I will be. The other supervisory control is to oversee in issues that involve the possible county liabilities or actions where sometimes through the proper proceedings, the district court is asked to, not an advisory opinion, but to act in accordance with what pleadings may come before it. So, para contestarle una vez más, señor Anieva, la Corte del Distrito participa como supervisor de de la Corte de Comisionados en muchas maneras, principalmente en nombrando el auditor del condado, que es independiente. Junto con los otros miembros de las Cortes del Distrito, nominan y nombran al auditor, que es la factura más importante en realizar qué son los actos de los comisionados, en tratar de utilizar los gastos y los actos que usan ellos sobre el dinero en general de los pagadores de los impuestos, como nosotros. Así como otros asuntos que se llevan a cabo si es de que utilizan unas maneras no actualmente correctos, la Corte está para recibir algunas quejas. Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Same question, Mr. Sanchez.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Lopez is correct. The district court oversees the hiring of several officials, including the auditor. And I agree with Mr. Lopez that we need somebody who's independent and doesn't owe any favors to anybody. And you're looking at him right here. If truth be known, about 2/3 of the money for my campaign is either mine or my family's. I'm about as independent as you can find. I have support from all walks of life, lawyers and non-lawyers alike, from educators. My stepmother and my dad are longtime educators in Laredo United Independent School District, as well as the Laredo Independent School District. My mother, Josie, a nurse, for the longest time. She's been a nurse before I was born. We have support from all sorts of individuals. I believe that the best person should get the job, no matter whether they help you or they didn't. If elected to be your next district judge, I intend to treat everybody fairly, regardless of whether you were on my side or not, because this is what a judge needs to do. Needs to be fair and impartial and interpret the law the way it's supposed to be without anything in back of their mind as to whether you should rule in one person's favor or another simply because they were on your side. That's not me, and that's not what I want to do.
Thank you for that, Mr. Sanchez. And now, Mrs. Palomo, same
Yes.
question.
Okay, thank you. Before I answer that question, I'd like to clear up some things that were said that are untrue. Unfortunately, my opponents feel that it's necessary to confuse you and to tell you that if you do not have trial experience, then you're not prepared to be on the bench. That is not true, ladies and gentlemen, and I apologize that they have to mislead you. Unfortunately, they will not apologize for themselves. We have the sitting judge on this bench is Judge Elma Salinas Ender. She has represented our community for over 28 years, sitting on this bench with distinction. I'd like to say that her trial experience was limited, and she is someone that I respect and hold in high regard. There's other sitting judges on the bench today that do not have trial experience, and they are individuals that and preside over cases, that dispense justice on a daily basis, and they've done so with honor. And to say that they needed trial experience to do this is just not correct. I'd also like to clarify that I have not been prohibited from practicing law during my tenure as the director of the Community Supervision and Corrections Department. Unfortunately, my opponent feels it's necessary to confuse you. And so the question is that what you want in your judge? Someone that confuses you, someone that misleads you, someone that tells you things that are not true? With respect to the question, I'd like to say that I am the only candidate with the experience going before the Board of Judges. As the director of the Community Supervision and Corrections Department, I have an intimate relationship with the Board of Judges. I go before them every month to present to them the position, the funding position, and the statistical position of our department. And I understand, I have the experience necessary to go before Commissioner's Court. I have done so in the past and will do so as your next district judge. Thank you.
And thank you. We move on now to the third question from Cristina Garcia Sierra to candidate Fernando Sanchez.
Good morning. How are
Good
you?
morning.
How are you? Great, thank you. So my next question to you is based on the experience that Judge Elma Teresa Salinas has brought to court for almost 30 years, what strengths do you bring along that make you capable to face the specific challenges of a border city? And I also have a specific question for you. Can you please expand, aside from that question, what do you mean by having the most diverse experience?
The most diverse experience means this. This court is a district court, and it handles, generally speaking, three types of cases. Civil cases, which involve lawsuits, family cases, which involve divorces, adoptions, modifications of custody, and criminal cases. I have the most diverse experience in this race because that's what I do on a daily basis. Unlike both of my opponents, I've been in the shoes of all the lawyers that are going to come before the 341st. I've been a prosecutor, and I've been a defense lawyer. I've handled civil cases. I've been on the plaintiff side. I've been on the defense side. In civil cases and family cases, I've represented in divorces the husband, I represented the wife, and I've represented the children. That's what we need in your next district judge. That's why experience matters. Now, my opponent says that she was not prohibited from practicing law. Well, the question is, if she was not, she couldn't handle criminal cases, obviously, because she runs the probation office. So, and the other thing is, she was handling civil cases, and she has. She's handled 40 civil cases, most of them, by and large, divorces. And remember, she's been a public servant all her time. So you ask yourself, if she was practicing law, it was at our expense, because we, the taxpayers, have been paying her salary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. And now, same question to Becky Palomo.
Yes, thank you. I have had 40. I'm glad that my opponent has chosen to take the time to research the number of cases that I've had, and I have had to. In fact, we are obligated as attorneys to do pro bono cases. I am very fortunate to have individuals that confide in my legal experience to come to me when they are in trouble. And I've done so. I've represented women that are getting divorced, women that are in abused relationships, women that are fighting for their children. And I take pride in the work that I have done. And just like Judge Ender, on the bench, she has presided over that court with distinction, because she has the life experiences necessary to be able to relate to the people that go before them. I agree. Diverse experience is important. I'm glad that you asked that question. What is diverse experience? Does it just have to be legal experience? If it just has to be legal experience, then let me tell you the legal experience I have. I've been a prosecutor for 8 years. I was assigned and promoted to be the chief prosecutor of the 341st District Court, which is the court that I'm running for. I was actually in that court. I had administrative duties over the younger attorneys that were under me. I have that experience. And the Board of Judges confided in my leadership skills and my legal experience to hire me as the director of the Community Supervision and Corrections Department. And my employees are in the court every single day, ladies and gentlemen. It's unfair that my opponent chooses to confuse you. We prepare pre-sentence investigation reports that our judges use to determine and to make a best judgment to see what is the best punishment for an offender that's before them. It starts at our office. We're in court every single day. For him to say that I do not practice, that I do not have legal experience in this position that I'm in, is just wrong. And I apologize for those statements.
Thank you, Mrs. Palomo. Mr. Lopez, same question, sir.
Well, just for the record, I don't want anybody apologizing for me. If I have anything to apologize, I'll do it. But let's make this a little clearer. What Ms. Palomo is saying in avoiding the question, she says that Judge Ender had very little trial experience. Well, I disagree, and I know better. This was in 1983. Ms. Palomo was nowhere around in 1983, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. All of us have the utmost respect for Judge Ender. My classmate at Baylor University nominated her and appointed her as the district judge in 1983. So frankly, I know better. As far as the question of Judge Ender and the border city, I think you're relating to what trial activities take place. Well, in many respects. You have in a given trial sometimes in the border cities where you have witnesses from Mexico or somewhere else. and their testimony is in Spanish. And to get legal documents under the law, they must be translated into English in order to be utilized in our courts. Judge Ender knows that. We've used it, I've used it, and she's very careful in following the law, and so will I. That's what that is meant by the question. How do we address it in our border cities? And I got 30 seconds to go, and let me talk about this diverse experience. Nobody sitting here or anywhere else has more diverse experience than I do. We're talking about a court that handles not only the criminal cases, you've got contracts, you've got property law, you've got oil and gas, and you have got property matters as well as personal injury. These people, these candidates, have nothing on me. So don't be swayed. And as far as the civil cases, well, we'll let you be the judge. And I thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Already time for our final question that comes from Javier Amieva, and it's posed to Becky Palomo. Becky Palomo.
That's fine.
Okay, even if the question could be something personal, must be present in a general format to be answered for all of the readers. Okay, the legal possibility of one of the ballot candidates to be elected as a district judge is sub judice. What if the candidate wins, but the High Court's final decision rolls against this candidate? What will be the possible scenarios if this happens? La posibilidad legal de ser electo como juez de distrito se encuentra sub judice en uno de los candidatos que aparece en la boleta de votación. Pero ¿cuál sería el escenario si ese candidato gana y después, al final, la Corte actúa en forma distinta?
Okay. That's a good question. Thank you very much. I want to make something perfectly clear to you today. I believe this was a direct question for me, but it has to be in a general setting. I had to defend myself in the legal system so that you may have a right to vote for your candidate of your choice. Unfortunately, my opponent, for whatever reason, chose to try to disqualify me as a candidate. And I fought all the way to the Texas Supreme Court. And it was a trying time for me, both personally and professionally. But I am glad that I'm sitting here before you today and that the highest court in the state of Texas ruled that I am a qualified candidate, and I am here before you today. They have ruled that I can be your judge. So I ask you to vote for Becky Palomo, someone that is fair, someone that is impartial, someone that with 12 years experience had the forethought and the legal experience to be able to know that I knew what my position was, that I knew that I was qualified. 22 years experience, my opponent said earlier, 21 years experience. He has diverse experience. He's been in the trenches. Not even that experience helped him decide this case because he chose to continue to try to take me off the ballot. Y yo estoy bien orgullosa y le doy gracias a Dios todos los días porque yo estoy aquí, estoy en la boleta y estoy frente de ustedes y ustedes tienen el derecho de decidir quién va a ser su candidato, quién ustedes quieren como juez para la Corte de 341. Fue un tiempo muy difícil para mí, pero yo sabía que la ley, yo sabía lo que yo había hecho y que todo estaba bien hecho y por eso seguí con mucha convicción para adelante. Y la ley más alta del estado de Texas decidió que yo sí soy candidata, que yo soy elegible y que yo puedo ser juez de ustedes.
Thank you, Ms. Palomo. Same question to Mr. Lopez.
Well, the Supreme Court of Texas ruled not quite the way Ms. Palomo addresses that question. Simply in reading the opinion that just came down, the published opinion, all it said was that there was insufficient evidence to disqualify her. There was some evidence to indicate that she had failed to comply. She had failed to take 15 hours of legal education in 1 year, and not only that, she admitted it. She told the court by certificate, I want an exemption for this year, members of the Supreme Court, because I did not practice law this year, which was either 2007 or 2008. Nobody has quite figured it out. But the Supreme Court, all it said was she will remain on the ballot because it's insufficient evidence to show otherwise. So the ruling has come down and she is on the ballot. And I do agree that it is up to the voter to select our candidate, the candidate. I thoroughly agree. Nothing should ever interfere with the voter's rights. However, the legal position taken was taken, and correctly so, because if she even today is telling us that she's got 12 years experience, she fails to admit over and over again that she has at least 1 year under oath in which she told the Supreme Court, sorry, but I did not practice law. So I wish she would correct it, at least say, well, it's not 12, it's really 11. So sometime before all this is over, we're going to get the truth. But the fact of the matter is, señor, ya la Corte Suprema ya dio el fallo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Sanchez, same question.
The Constitution of the state of Texas requires a person running for the position of district judge to have been a practicing lawyer or a judge for the 4 years next preceding the election. So as of November of 2012, you need to look back 4 years. Ms. Palomo chose to take a non-practicing exemption, which basically means I'm not practicing law. And the issue was, when did she take it? It is undisputed that she felt it in her best interest to take a break from the practice of law. Now, the one thing the Supreme Court did not and could not look at were the facts that she has been prohibited from practicing law for the last 5 years. Now, if she has practiced law, I invite her to tell us the number of cases that she's handled in court and what types of cases there were, because there hasn't been any. She could not practice law. But when she was with the district attorney's office, she was practicing law on the side while she was being our public servant. On February 23rd, 2004, she writes a letter to a lady saying, thank you for receipt of the $100 I received for the legal services I performed as your daughter's lawyer. The outstanding prior balance is $3,250. Letter goes on to say, should you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to call me at 523-4927, which is a number to the district attorney's office. Clearly, she was not doing this for pro bono. We need to have someone with integrity, someone who is forthcoming, and someone who's telling you the truth. The truth of the matter is that the Supreme Court could not have looked at anything but the public records. She wins, she's still subject to being removed at a later action through a fact-finding mission to determine whether or not she's been a practicing lawyer for the last 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. This concludes our round of questioning. We now move on to the closing statement, starting with Becky Palomo.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you, City of Laredo and Public Access. I appreciate you listening to us, and hopefully after you've heard us, you have decided that I am the best qualified and the best experienced attorney to serve you as the next district court judge. It is unfortunate that I've had to defend myself from attacks from both of my opponents. I feel a bit distracted sometimes. I feel I've been running my campaign on my own 2 feet, on my own qualifications. There's no need for me to have to attack my opponents for whatever reason they choose to attack me, maybe because they cannot tell you what they have done for you or what they want to do for you, but I can. Like I said, I've been your public servant and I want to continue to serve you. I have the criminal experience to handle the cases in this court. The 341st District Court also handles civil cases and family law cases. This judge will hear cases that go before it where there's divorce cases going on, the distribution of property, child custody cases, adoption cases. You need a person that can relate to your problems, a person that understands you, a person that will respect you, a person that will be fair and impartial. I have to take the attacks from my opponent, but that is okay. I went to law school and I can defend myself. But I want to defend you. I want to make sure that if you do not have $50,000 to hire an attorney, or you're scared that your opponent or your ex-husband or someone that is abusing you has a better attorney than you, then I want you to know that you will have a judge on the bench that will make sure that the law is being applied, and that you have a judge that's going to be independent, impartial, and compassionate to you. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Mrs. Palomo. And now let's hear from Fernando Sanchez.
Thank you, Richard.
Yes, sir.
These are not attacks. These are the facts. That's what it is. And these are not personal attacks. These are just issues that you, the voters, need to look at and decide who your next district judge is going to be. You're the bosses. We have our resumes in front of you. There's 3 factors that defines a good judge: character, integrity, and experience. I am independent. I owe no favors to nobody. As an assistant district attorney, I was there for 5.5 years, putting away the most dangerous of criminals, putting away drug pushers. I amassed a 95% conviction rate. Only 5% of the cases were either dismissed or were let go. That's a stellar record. During that time, I tried over 50 trials. My opponent, during the time she was there, which is about 2 years longer than I was, only tried 5 cases. Experience does matter. Trial experience. This is a trial-intensive court. I have over 21 years of trial experience. I tried the same number of cases she did, probably in my first 6 months to 1 year. It is imperative that we have somebody that knows what they're doing and does not need training wheels. The very types of cases this court handles, I handle on a daily basis. Criminal cases, civil cases, and family cases. And I've done it on my own time, not on the taxpayer's dime, unlike what you just saw from Ms. Palomo, where previously she said that the civil cases that she's done, the divorces that she's done, have been pro bono, meaning free, when in fact we know she was charging while she was working at the county, and she was using the county's resources to try to collect her fee. These are not personal attacks. These are just the facts. This is something you need to know when you go to the polls and make your selection. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. The last closing statement from R.E. Lopez.
Once again, thank you, Mr. Noriega, and of
Sure.
course, Ms. Garcia and Senor Anieva. What can I say? I say thank you. I'm happy to be here. These aren't personal attacks. This is our effort to bring to you your choices for judge, and I believe I am your choice for judge. Recently, I was reading a book called The Noble Lawyer. It's written by a gentleman, William Chris. He states, the jury trial is the most effective tool devised by democratic societies to check the authoritarian impulses of the rich and the famous. And that is absolutely true. And you need a judge in there that believes in the jury system, because we need the jury system. We are the envy of the world on our jury system. And I say that because I have taught litigation in other parts of the world, in Ukraine, Czech Republic, and Poland. And they admire our system, and they love it, and they want to understand it more. So we cannot have a judge inexperienced in the trial court. We cannot have a judge that's been pushing the pencil in the probation department with a budget of $4 million, with only 2,800 enrollees in a program that does not work. We need to analyze these candidates. Do you want such a candidate who is, of course, like all of us, for God, mother, and country, but she does not practice law? Do we want a young man, Mr. Sanchez, who is in the prime of his life but has a few more years to go and will someday be a much better and better lawyer and perhaps a judge? And I thank you very much.
And thank you, sir. This concludes our forum for Judge of the 341st District Court. I want to thank the candidates for participating in this very informative forum, and also our panelists over here for also being a very key part of this exchange. We remind you that early voting will begin Monday, May 14th, concludes May 25th. Remember, Election Day May 29th. If you're interested, call the Webb County Elections Administrator's Office for more information. Above all, please make sure that you go out and vote. Finally, on behalf of the City of Laredo and the Public Access Center, we would like to thank you for watching today's forum and encourage you to keep watching Public Access Cable Channel 3 for more 2012 Webb County election political forums. Thank you, and make it a great day.